Yes, indeed. Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk. I am Christian Bladt, and we are talking about Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 5, Grand Design. Very exciting to continue our discussion about this show. We all raved about Episode 4 last week, and we have some of our regulars with us, including the great David Brody. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Christian. Another fantastic episode to talk about tonight.
I think that it would have been hard to top last week's, and then they must have set out to not try. So they did a fine story, but last week was crazy. And with us is the commandant of the Geekscape Academy, the Admiral James T. Kirk to my Captain Spock, the one and only Jonathan London. How are you, sir?
I'm good. As long as I'm not Pike, I think I'm fine.
Well, Pike up until a point is fine, but
not to cage me in.
Yeah, Jonathan, is it? Are you going to?
Yes, that was a pun.
That's very good. That's very good.
That's a nice one. Yeah, Jonathan will be answering in blinking lights. We'll get the ones. And
I mean, I have to let people know that there's a reason I started Geekscape by speaking geek. We are talking about the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, right? I think that's the episode with Daredevil in it.
I wish that Daredevil was in that. Was Thor in that one too, or was that a different one?
I'm not sure.
They had a Bill Bixby TV movie with Thor in it, and then also one with Daredevil as well.
This is my childhood Hulk figure. I think it's like a Mako or something like that. But I put zip ties to the elbows to keep it on because I long since broke whatever plastic was the elbow.
As always, Eric Conner is running fashionably late, but if he were sitting here right now, he'd be showing off some toys as well. Jonathan, out of everyone that I know, you tend to be fairly critical of this series, but let's briefly your thoughts on last week's episode 4.
It was what I'd been waiting for in the first 3 episodes of the season. I mean, if you listen to the Geekscape podcast that I don't do a episode by episode breakdown. I do the seasons all together as a Geekscape special with my buddy Ian, and I was critical of season 1 because I felt like it kind of just sat at a simmer for a while with very few times where it let off, and the ending definitely, the Josie's Bar ending, I'm like, show us the defenders, like show us that we're ready to go to town. And we didn't. We saw Josie brandishing a frying pan or something at the end of that season. So I was like, okay, season 2, this is their chance to really go all out. And the ship sequence in the first episode, I was like, cool, I want something like this. I want something that's high energy. And I know you can't sustain that at a budget level for too much, but I wanted more of our primary characters and less of like the BB storyline or David storyline kind of stuff, or the Vanessa storyline. And so the first 3 episodes just weren't enough for me. And then I watched episode 4, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that bullseye opening is perfect. I think that episode is amazing. I thought that the quote unquote death of Vanessa at the end was awesome in like a great place for the season to turn, which leads us to episode 5. And whether or not any of those things were paid off, we can make that a point of discussion.
Well, making his triumphant return is one of our regulars. The great Nate Miller is here. Nate, thank you for being here.
Hello.
And we appreciate all of that. And there's only, obviously, Jonathan, this is your channel, this is your network, this is your brand. There's only one in-house rule. If you say her name, it must be said as Vanessa. You have to really drag it out like this.
I don't say the name by itself. I do use an entire phrase. You embarrass me in front of Vanessa. You embarrass me in front of Vanessa. What
exactly.
A mortal sin.
Yes.
You embarrass me in front of Vanessa.
So yeah, I think we have to kind of get right to it as we talk about this episode. And boy, if somebody's stumbling across this and they haven't seen episode 4, last week we were very careful with all the spoilers, and
Sure.
Look, we'll do it again. The only difference is that I guess we really want to make sure we know this is going to clue anybody in, like, oh, some stuff might go down in episodes 4 and 5. So we'll leave the spoiler warning up there. But so we start off, and last week, Nate, you weren't able to be with us last week. We were all kind of speculating. Vanessa, is she or isn't she? So since you didn't get to react to episode 4, I'll let you, just like Jonathan did, your thoughts on episode 4 heading into this week's episode 5.
Sure. I thought it was amazing. I also thought the bullseye opening was like spectacular. I think that these last 2 episodes specifically, but this season, as I said, like at the top of the season, have really captured a lot of the kind of comic book feel that I would say that it's kind of nebulous, but like I think the direction of the show has really kind of captured that in these last 2 episodes. The action sequences have been really tight, and the character moments have been really good, and getting to see, like, for me, really like getting to get really nice character moments with Matt in the costume, with Bullseye in his costume, is to me, like, this is I'm like kind of cautiously like really excited about it, because to me this is like what I have been wanting. This is where I feel like the trajectory the Netflix shows were on, of like giving us, investing enough time and groundwork that we can have the characters in their suits doing superhero things and still have great character moments. And it just felt really good. Like the guy who's playing Poindexter, his performance is incredible. Like it just all around just feels like a really, really well executed show. It looks beautiful. I thought episode 4 was great. I actually was kind of surprised that there even was a plot of like, will she survive? Because to me it seemed very cut and dry that like, no, she's dead. Like it made sense for the story. It made sense for Bullseye, all of the things that happen. So I was kind of even taken aback at the start of this episode of like, oh, we're going to explore this possibility. But even that, I think was, had a little trepidation, but I think they executed it like very well.
Yeah,
it felt like a pulled punch that she's like alive. Like that felt like a pulled punch in a big way. But the actor you're talking about, Wilson Bethel, did you see the news this week that he was actually a runner-up for Captain America?
Oh, really?
I had not seen that.
There's audition footage of Wilson Bethel. You know, obviously it went to Chris Evans, but there's audition footage of Wilson Bethel for Captain America, and he's been in the mix that long, but he's great as Bullseye. And I love that there's the hint of the rings around his neck. I wish they'd go further, and hopefully they will with the Bullseye costume, and they actually give him the target on the forehead. But the fact that they've added the black subtle rings around his neck, I'm like, get to the actual costume. Let's go.
Yeah, and even him painting the thing in blood too is like, okay, we're seeing a iconization form for this, developing supervillain.
Well, to Jonathan's point, the role of Steve Rogers came down to not just Chris Evans or Wilson Bethel. The other candidate was our friend Eric Conner, and I don't think they chose correctly. Actually,
No, I mean the Marvel Cinematic Universe is much poorer for it.
I think we all agree.
It's a sliding door we all want to revisit.
So I think that's really the important starting point. Now that we did a little recap and sort of summing up the way that some of us who weren't here last week felt about episode 4. Jonathan and I were trading messages earlier today, and I do agree. The idea that she had survived at the beginning of the episode was like, oh yeah, that really kind of that takes away from it, and I think we're able to look at it as a whole, which of course we'll get to, but that even makes it more frustrating, I think. But we did get some great character stuff with Vanessa. Eric, even though you were the most tardy, I'm going to reward your negative behavior with positive reinforcement and say, what do you think about sort of this realization early on in episode 5 that Mrs. Fisk, see, that gets me away from having to say it like that Mrs. Fisk was actually still with us.
The First Lady of New York City we know she's a fighter. The actress has Israeli blood, so pretty tough. I think part of me wants every episode to begin with, oh no, she's not dead, and then they go through it again, and then she dies at the end, and then episode 7. Oh yeah, no, we're okay. She's okay. Don't
Like Kenny. Oh my God, they killed Vanessa.
and she comes back not explained. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't looking good. I haven't had glass in the temple myself, but I know Brody has told me in his own background in Brooklyn and Jersey, it's kind of hard to survive that, even if you have pineapple.
As a
juice.
Jew, As a Jew at my wedding, I broke a glass in a temple. Does that count?
I think it does, actually.
Mazel tov, sir. Mazel tov.
So
That's my bell. Okay.
It's way up there. And look, the big boss is here. I'm trying to not,
London's no bell.
I'm not trying.
bell zone.
I'm not trying to do the morning zoo version of the show that we usually.
Well, I
do.
mean, you were off the network for what, 12 years, and then I invited you back when I figured you had been on ice long enough.
Yeah, you'd think I'd learned a lesson, but here's the thing.
Damn it.
Jonathan. I hadn't.
Never to be seen again.
Anybody got a what are those things called?
Vuvuzela.
Yeah.
I do own a Vuvuzela.
All right. Well, let's save that for Comic-Con.
I sit on
in
it.
Ontario.
I'm kidding. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a huge presence at Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that towards the end. So as we look at this 5th episode, Mr. Brody, your thoughts sort of on what we're talking about, sort of, because you were a proponent of the idea that they didn't have to kill Foggy. It would have been just as impactful if he was in a coma. So you're like, I don't know if they need to kill Vanessa. But your thoughts is sort of this episode opens and you realize that she's still with us. Brody.
Well, I really thought they were going with the coma aspect because it would still make him angry. He would still want revenge, but the character could survive maybe 3 episodes from now. The fact that they killed her off quickly, I enjoyed the writing. The pineapple juice, the tell me the story. I thought the writing of her losing it and dying, for real was good. I thought the doctor being hopeful, he made it clear, like, I'm hopeful, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I thought Fisk was going to kill the doctor. Like, you told me you'd save my wife and you didn't, and I'm going to kill you.
By the way, there's still time for that. I have an expectation that will happen. Yes.
Dr. Marati was on all of our lists. Yeah, big time. When he started talking like that, I'm like, oh, Dr. Marati, let me open my Cashy app. I think he's done.
Also, the anesthesiologist.
Let me sell a couple of NSTs to place these bets.
The other thing is, and maybe we'll talk about this later, was the presence in episode 4 of the Watcher.
Yes.
And he was there.
Is that legit, guys?
Well, the guy who runs
or is
Marvel
that just
streaming,
like where the lights are? Yeah.
The guy who runs
didn't they just clear house?
No, he's not one of the 1,000 that got fired. He said it's the Watcher. He said he confirmed it. The guy who's in charge of all of Marvel streaming projects. So let's just say hypothetically,
if she's not dead, like how is that a big event if she's not dead?
Right. So because if the Watcher was there, if it was, he would show up to a monumental event, and Kingpin's wife dying is a monumental event. So that sort of gave me the impression that she had to die, even though she had survived. Because if the Watcher was there, what was he, just to see her almost die?
No,
no.
So, David, the Watcher was there because he bet on the guy who went against Kingpin. Right.
Listen, the Watcher doesn't speak, but he loves a good prop bet. So,
I mean, if I'm looking,
the Watcher turns the
literally,
Watcher turned to the living tribunal and just gave him $15 and was like, "Fuck."
Go ahead, Nate.
If I'm looking literally at this picture that I've seen circulating, I don't see the Watcher seeing what happens to Miss Fisk.
Thank you.
I see the Watcher seeing Daredevil decide to help Bullseye.
Yeah.
And I think that's the more impactful thing. Like, this decision that we ultimately see like be fully fleshed out in episode 5, I think is the kind of nexus point, so to speak, for Daredevil as a character. And so I think that's what he's seeing. Like, the Vanessa thing is part of it. It's all part of it, right? The why Bullseye is there, what happened to Foggy, all of it culminates to this moment that I think it kind of crystallizes something for Matt as Daredevil. I think it will be a catalyst for Bullseye as he survives, and I think also it's going to change Fisk drastically in how he moves and reacts and stuff. So I think that's kind of what is being viewed, not just necessarily her dying.
Yeah, no, I think that he's there for all of it. The Uncanny X-Men 137 starts with a splash page with the Watcher where he's like, "Hello, I'm here because something big's gonna happen," and he's around throughout it. He's not just there showing a. So I would like to see more images of him kind of creeping around, but we didn't see him in episode 5. So I think it's interesting, and it is definitely, this is a very important moment. This is very impactful. So whether you will choose to believe that the Watcher is there or not, I do think that it shows the severity of it, the idea that he might even be there. And I don't think except of course for What If, but he hasn't been around really for a lot of these things. I mean, maybe there's an example, Brody, if you have one, but we don't always see him lurking around. And for this series, this would be the most important moment. Both sides of this, sort of the helping Bullseye thing, Jonathan. You and I had a sidebar, as they would say at Nelson, Murdoch, and Page back in the day. We did sidebar about this a little bit, and I think that for me, the most believable part, the richest part of the interaction between these two characters, is when Bullseye is really trying to get Matt to leave him behind. So he keeps saying Foggy's name because he had said, "Don't you say it." So I think that there's aspects of it that I liked. The whole thing as a whole, it's I don't know. I don't know if I'm in on it the whole time, Jonathan.
Listening to you talk, I mean, the series is called Born Again, and like when the Frank Miller run, that's clearly like Born Again because the one main reason is Karen sells his identity and he has to go back. He's stripped down. He loses everything and he has to reinvent himself. Here, he's lost Foggy, and Bullseye is the other character being born again. And so there's a reinvention of a couple characters. And I mean, we'll get into how great it felt to have Foggy back and to have Wesley back in this episode. And I'm still hoping that we find a way to have the actual proper Urich back, because we can do that with these flashbacks. I thought the flashbacks were awesome. But I still have a hard time thinking that Bullseye went through this giant, crisis of conscience because he killed somebody. I'm like, no, I don't know if that's not my Bullseye. It just feels like something that Bullseye wouldn't have even thought twice about. And here he is with like a complete crisis of conscience that he killed somebody that he was hired to kill. And I'm like, it's kind of what you do, man. After seeing you slaughter an entire diner for people, I don't really think that, I'm buying too much of the, I shouldn't have killed Foggy Nelson. I have to reset the scales. It's like, dude, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's almost like now he's in Frank Castle territory because you're talking about the diner sequence. Well, who did he kill?
So bring him on. Bring him on. Like,
So he's more of the vigilante, but he's not for hire anymore. At least
he's like, I'm on your side, and it's like, well, that's something like Frank would say, and he would say it errantly to he would say it errantly to somebody like Captain America. He's clearly not on Captain America's side. And the other hero that we hinted at in this episode was Night Nurse, and she didn't get a call either.
Mentioned her. I feel like
she mentioned her.
She was probably doing multiple Star Wars projects all at once. That's my guess as to why we don't see her because
reshoots for Mandalorian and Grogu.
Actually, you're probably not wrong.
I think she's in the new Spider-Man movie. I read somewhere that she's going to be in that.
As Ahsoka, she's going to be in the new Spider-Man movie.
Yes,
man, this intellectual property business is very.
Now, as a character from Clerks 3, I believe.
I can't wait for this Spider-Man movie. I love that we get a Punisher movie setting it up and acting as a bridge to it. It makes me think that Matt Lillard is working for some version of the Hand. Those flashbacks, they also made me miss Owsley, who I think is a pretty important character to keep in and around the vicinity of Kingpin as a rival. Shit, man, I want Gladiator back. Like they introduced some good stuff in those Netflix shows that technically still live in this area and technically still live in this environment. Like I would love to see some of those characters back, including Night Nurse. The flashbacks were awesome. They really made this great. But for me, if we're talking the highlights of the episode, I did not care about Buck up until now. And now I'm like, oh, cool. He's not just a replacement for Wesley. Buck became his fully formed character in his travel with David. And I became a huge fan of Artie Frusciante in this. I was like, damn, this is the first time I actually cared about Buck and am enjoying him on screen instead of just being some kind of enforcer. They gave him a lot to do in this episode, and I thought that was super strong. I loved it.
And you're talking about Michael Gandolfini, as we refer to him on this show, Gandolfoni, his character Daniel. As I have said earlier today, the idea that they went to the hardware store and showed him the shovel. When I found out that he wasn't killing Daniel, that's I haven't been that
BB wasn't in a
disappointed.
tarp, or
Yeah.
that BB wasn't in a
that-
tarp. I'm like, just
That would have been a
Yes.
consolation prize. But when I found out that he wasn't going to be digging his own grave in this episode, I haven't been that disappointed since the finale of Lost. And maybe even less so by that, because I let myself get excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. But
in
to be
Lost, they
fair,
were dead the whole time. Here, he was only thinking he was dead the whole time.
I'm going to give rare credit to Michael Gandolfini. In fact, because this is so rare, I'm going to take up the whole screen. I thought the stuff where he's in the car while he's in the hardware store and he thinks about it and he kind of grabs the steering wheel and he considers the idea of, oh, I could drive away, but he realizes that he can't. I was actually impressed, and I hope I don't ever have to say that again.
That was good.
Gandalf told me now, Gandalf really.
Did that scene remind you of Silvio driving Adriana to the Pine Barrens?
Absolutely.
100%. Yes.
Absolutely.
Same
So I
vibe.
sent the picture to Christian of that very moment. Brody.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah. But it didn't have as happy of an ending, unfortunately. What do you
You're
think
a
about?
monster. You're a fucking monster.
Oh, okay. Hey, there's only one member of this cast that I would like to see. Well, excuse me, only one character in the cast. Let me be more specific. That I would like to see dead. That's not what I wanted to share. But yeah. So he's really the only one. But I do think that we got some nice stuff. But I mean, the idea that Buck was so happy, just kind of marching out with the shovel and this. I was happy.
And
a
it's not
stall,
just a
yes.
shovel.
I was
He's messing with
happier.
him.
I was definitely happier than. Oh yeah, and he was, because I think everybody knows what's going on, Nate. I think everybody knows that there's a leak, and they see Daniel hanging around with BB, and I think everybody's like, "Yeah, she's not your friend, bro."
What if they kill Powell in the next episode? And they're just like, "Whoops, thought it was him. Guess not. Nope."
Well, I'm sure Daniel would just be like, "Yep, I always thought it was him." What do you think about the way that kind of unfolded? And did you think that Daniel might die? And did I cross your mind about how excited I would be?
Yes, that was literally my first thought when, like, for a moment I thought, oh, they're actually gonna kill him, and then as it kept going, I was like, no, I think there's just more stuff to do with the character than for him to die just like this. So I was like, he's not gonna die. But the second thought I had as soon as I was like, oh my God, are they gonna kill him, was like, oh, Christian's gonna be so happy.
But I thought that it played out nicely, and I do think that I almost called him Wesley. That Buck
He's
was
not-
giving. That Buck
He's
was
not
giving.
gonna be anybody's favorite,
Yeah,
and that's okay. But he's not terrible. It's not like when he's on screen, it doesn't take me out of it. He just happened to be cast very well. So in your mind, you're like, oh, he's not even acting. Like, he is acting. He's just, the character just happens to be, kind of true to life. So a lot of it feels like he's just kind of like there. But like, yeah, like, I agree with you. I thought the moment in the car was actually really good. I was like, wow, yeah, that's as you're running through it in your mind, and you're like, I thought that was great.
yeah, no, exactly. And I assume, Mr. Conner, you had a similar thought process from that.
Listen, it's been a tough week for the Mets. Thus, it's been a tough week for Christian Bladt. So I was thinking, it'd be nice for Christian to get some joy in an otherwise joyless week. But I will agree with your Zoom close up. I think Gandolfini's performance in this episode was the best he's given by far.
Well, since
Which
the
is-
Many Saints of Newark, where
Yes,
he, of
since-
course,
Since 2 minutes of that movie, not in a row, by the way. We're feeling it, and at some point I'm like, no, they wouldn't kill him, and then I circled back around like maybe they would. No, maybe.
But not on episode 5.
That's
You know
and
what I
that
mean?
in
Like,
the end of it
not
all
that
was
it just comes
it
down
would be
to
an
not on
odd
episode 5.
it'd be an odd choice to kill him here. But this was one thing too about this episode I really enjoyed was it's kind of like almost like that logic. You have a big episode like the last one. You had the fight and you had Vanessa getting some shrapnel in the temple. But this episode was much more like, you know, one of those episodes they'll have in like a Game of Thrones or a Walking Dead before the big episodes. One of those contemplative episodes where the characters are looking much more inwards. And yet I thought here with the way they kind of cut between those stories, I thought it was really effective. I thought the flashbacks were effective. Like they kind of put a pause a little bit on the storytelling for the season, but yet in a way that I think deepened so many of the characters. Completely agree. Buck suddenly it's like, oh, he is fascinating. His strut when he was walking with the shovel and with the saw, I was like, oh, dude, he's a baller move. And because also he's wearing a suit while walking with a shovel and a saw. No one in a suit has ever done anything good with those objects.
And Eric, you see him as you also see the younger Buck when he's dealing with Lionel, and he's going after. We don't know if he's going after Lionel. Like it's funny how like Nelson and Murdoch are involved with that storyline too, but we get to see a younger version of Buck as he's first hired by the Kingpin and Wesley, and that whole coming around into like intertwining himself with their criminal network. But I also thought that the guy who played Lionel kept calling Foggy Fembot. I was like, this is good too, and you're rooting for him to take the money and just make his life better. You know, so the flashback stories were great. Even the Vanessa flashback story, you know, it's like, oh cool, she has a particular perspective.
Just before we move on
but-
from it entirely,
yeah.
this is what Eric shared with us, sort of the side by side of this episode, and then this is Silvio and Adriana, and she knows a little bit more. You can see it in her face versus Daniel, who's just
Well, the second they say they're going to a different city, and he's like, I don't want to really what. They had to have been referencing that.
Well, they had to
Sopranos
think of it
on set.
But I mean, look,
they're making things up like The Watcher.
I don't
still think that's made
ever,
up.
I don't ever want to have to dig my own grave, but I especially wouldn't want to have to do it in Albany. I mean, just let me do it in one of the 5 boroughs. I'll even do it in Staten Island. It's fine.
Well, don't ring the bell on Geekscape, and maybe we'll see what we can do.
Oh,
You motherfucker! It's going to
in
be a
defense
long
of-
drive out to Ontario, back from Ontario.
That's
Christian.
true.
Via city of industry.
In defense of Staten Island, you don't even need to be buried. They just kill you and leave you there. You don't have to hide
They
the
throw you
body.
in the
They're just
dump.
everywhere.
You blend.
Throw you
You
Uh,
blend.
over the hill into the dump.
Nate, were you trying to jump in while we were talking about the geography of New York City?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. No, I
Just
meant
to
it
be
was
out of
something
this.
to help move us along is actually what I was hoping, basically. I was throwing a
No.
line-
I just wanted to listen. Yeah, just taking it all in. Where to hide
but
the bodies and stuff.
Jonathan mentioned sort of the fact that, we get a Foggy flashback, which is great. But then we also have Wesley in a flashback. But the Vanessa flashback was also great. It was all like stuff we were kind of familiar with, and it sort of filled in some gaps in their relationship. I don't know. I thought sort of getting the 2 different Vanessas in this episode, I thought was just really nicely tied together. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I agree. I said to my partner that it feels kind of like, I know that there's obviously more to it, especially by the end of the episode, because it just really ties everything together really well. It was written really well. But there was a moment where I felt like they killed her character, but because she's such an incredible actress and such an important character of the show, that like you can't just kill her off and not have like a goodbye. So it kind of felt like this whole episode was like okay, so you're dead, but we're gonna do a little bit of last like character wrap up, some emotional moments and stuff. And Yeah, I thought it was really cool to see the like pre Fisk, and like, you know, the connection with the painting and stuff was very cool. I really enjoyed all of the, like, not just that they're continuing the show, but embracing things, like really great parts of that show, great
Yeah.
characters, and like bringing them in and being like, hey, remember this is all of this is still in that world. Yeah, I just want to echo too that, like, the flashbacks, I'm generally not a big flashback person. It can be kind of lazy, but this is like one of the best execution of flashbacks. And really, by the end of the episode, I was just blown away about how everything flowed together really well, but also was like connected. Like, it being the case that Matt and Foggy kind of like develop their sense of like what are our values, like the
Yeah.
mercy concept, and then also it being the one that what's his name is sent on the job to kill because they got him out of jail, and like it also being related to the night of when he gets to go see the painting, like all that stuff coming together while also revealing important things about the characters. It just like it was great. But yeah, all the stuff with Vanessa I thought was exceptional. Really great moments too for Vincent D'Onofrio to like show how deep he's made this character of the Kingpin, who like has always kind of been a one-dimensional villain in the comics, like does some cool smart things but not a lot of like emotional depth as much as like what we've seen him put on the screen. And I think it really adds a lot to the dynamic between him and Daredevil.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that obviously, you know, he's always been a tremendous actor, but he has the appreciation for who this character is, and we're very fortunate that we've been able to still, you know, have. There was a point where we all probably thought, like, well, that was a nice run that we got to see him play Kingpin. Somebody else is going to come in and do it. Before we move on entirely from Mrs. Fisk, Eric puts a lot of time into some of these images, so I think that this one, I want you to describe this for our radio audience gathered together for a fireside chat with the whole family. Mr. Conner, go ahead now.
Hello to the radio audience listening to us over the wireless. Yes, this is. I mean, I think I'm always excited about marketing opportunities. So here, I mean, how does Ayala Zara not enter the pineapple juice marketing world? In this case, Del Monte. Drink smart for your heart, by the way. And begs that question: was it the pineapple juice that actually killed her?
No, I think
Or
it
saved her.
I think it sustained her as long as she did. But
She fought death just to have one last sip. I mean, that's a great ad, by the way.
Make your lips tingle.
Yeah,
That's the slogan.
It's
right
true.
there.
Makes your lips tingle.
yeah,
Have one before you die.
that's the Brooklyn Boys podcast tagline, I thought.
it does make everybody's lips tingle. I want to spend some time talking about Foggy, but first let's talk about unexpectedly seeing Wesley again, and the tying him together to Buck so that it's literally, you know, they're, in terms of the function for the story, they're the same character. They're not literally the same character, but they serve the same purpose for Fisk. And our buddy Daniel Drew in the chat does point out that he had an amazing haircut. I don't know, Eric, if you selected a picture of his haircut for.
I have to admit, I did not, and I apologize. I feel like I let us all.
You want to? Well, you don't want to steal art. You know, it's something that's so beautiful. People should see it in its natural
That flowing
environment.
wig.
It was very nice. Brody, how did you feel about very unexpectedly, you know, it wasn't the sort of thing you'd put in the trailer anyway, but what did you think about getting to spend some time with Mr. Wesley again?
Well, it was great seeing him. The first thing I did after the episode was when I went back and watched the clip of Karen killing him, which was another fantastic scene.
It was
where he has her at the table and he's so cocky that she can't do anything, that he answers the phone and leaves the gun on the table. And then, you know, in a scene that reminded me of Richie from The Sopranos, where he's like, "What are you going to do? Shoot me?" You know, right? So, seeing him again, listen, the way they de-aged all of the actors, the de-aging technique was fantastic. Seeing Matt Murdock with the haircut and the red glasses, and I don't know if you noticed this, but they even made the lighting, the color coding, the color saturation, all the flashbacks were the Netflix colors from the old show, the brighter, more vibrant colors. which I thought was a great acknowledgement that there was a different palette. So I thought seeing him again was terrific. Having him cross over and showing Buck's first mission, where he put on a great American accent when he knocked on the door. He's like, delivery. I picked up on DiGiorno's, right? I think showing that, like, okay, Wesley's gone. His own replacement is the guy that he hired. And he's sort of another guy who is like, has an air about him of professionalism and elitism, that he's Kingpin's right-hand guy, and he came from his last right-hand guy. Seeing Kingpin, younger Kingpin, to me, it was just all great. To Nate's point, flashbacks can be good or bad. I thought they were tremendous, showing the morality of Foggy. And if you paid attention to that scene where he passes him the folder,
yeah,
he actually hits it against his computer, because that was before he knew Matt could see, quote unquote. So he sort of alerted him that the folder was coming, and Matt played it like he was blind, reaching for the folder. This was before he knew he had radar. So they even touched on that little bit of nuance to show that, yeah, remember season 1 when nobody knew who he was? Overall, it was great. To your point, though, Wesley was a wonderful bonus that I didn't expect, because he's such a great character in season 1.
And Eric Conner was so determined. You literally, at some point I'll explain to you that it actually creates a lot of work for me when you text me a picture during the show, because I then have to email it to myself and then upload it. But don't fuck with Karen Page, I think is the moral of that story. And also, don't leave a gun right in front of her. It's probably not for the best. So look, I think we can all celebrate that, but we knew that Foggy was going to be back this season. Was he in one of the trailers, or did they had just said, yes, he will be on this season? And, but I don't think at the end of last episode, I was like, next week, I bet we're going to get good old Foggy Bear back. And I thought it was wonderful to see him. Eric, I'm going to assume you agree, but please, if you want to have a hot take, go right ahead.
Okay. Well, it's not a hot take, but it's a hot question. Did they add weight to him, or did he add weight to himself?
I think that might be digital trickery, because that actor did get, he
was pretty svelte in season 1 for his one episode.
Yes. Eldon Henson is his name. I always want to make sure I get it correct, because he was a tremendous part of the Netflix show. And I was none too happy to know that, what do we get, like 5 minutes with him in this iteration of the series?
I guess Bullseye's not too happy about doing it either.
I feel so bad about it. I mean, he didn't.
Terrible.
He didn't feel bad for a while. Yeah,
you got to balance the scales.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, seeing him back and their chemistry, and even like seeing Daredevil like smile. Right. Charlie Cox isn't too happy in this season, and so it was like watching their chemistry, the really natural chemistry those two performers have, and I think that's the thing that a lot of us sort of mourned in the loss of Foggy in season 1 of The Born Again. Is like they were so good together, and with Karen, and so like you're kind of like you bring back part of the ingredients, but not the whole thing. It's just not quite going to be the same. I did like the nickname of Fembot, and I am very curious. I want another flashback only of how he was called Fembot. I had so many questions.
So they should have done they should have done the Christopher Nolan flashback within the flashback back to when they were kids.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it's crazier things have happened, but no, I thought it was tremendous to get to spend time with Foggy. And yeah, it was literally just those scenes of Matt and Foggy just, talking legal circles around each other, and the fact that they were saving their money up. Yeah.
But thematically, the idea of mercy, a big thread in this episode, to your point, Nate. And so I think like it wasn't just fan service. It wasn't just, hey kids, look who came back to say hello. Like it was so much more than that. And it was a really complete story.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah. Matt is with Bullseye when he is remembering that conversation where Foggy mentions mercy as a reason to go and protect, what was the name of the character? Lionel. Mercy is the big word that he uses. That being
Well-
said, what scenario would we see for him to get a nickname like Fembot?
I mean, maybe he
What
just
would
kept
that scene
talking,
have even
maybe he
been?
just kept talking about Austin Powers. If I'm gonna
Maybe he
guess,
kept talking about that scene in Superman 3. The one
you
that
mean?
fucking
Oh, I'm sorry.
The one
No,
that
no.
traumatized all of us.
You
Oh, sure.
mean you mean Superman 3, aka the good one? I think that's how we always have to.
AKA the real one.
Followed by Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. That's the second best one.
The second
Oh.
best.
But yeah, I think that the idea that, I mean, obviously, wonderful storytelling to have the, oh wow, we realize we could get this guy off, but he's kind of a dick, so should we? It's the same idea of like, yeah, Bullseye doesn't deserve to be shot like a dog, but he did shoot my best friend like a dog, so I just thought, spending that much time with it, to really deal with the character aspects of all of this. What did you think, Brody, as someone who was a proponent for Foggy in a coma? At least we got to spend time with him again, right?
Yeah, it was great to see him again, but it reminded me of last season. The first season was written by a different team, right? Originally,
the
And
start
those-
of it, yeah. The other team comes along
Right.
towards the end, but yes.
that first team thought it was a good idea to relaunch Daredevil after years of getting ownership and from Netflix
Yeah.
and all that. That they thought it was a great idea not to have Foggy and Karen on the show.
Yeah.
Right. It's beyond me. Like, you see them together again in a flashback. You go, who could conceptualize this show without Foggy and Karen when they had such a bond, when there was such a, he's his moral compass, right?
Well-
and you're going to have a show without them. And the
Well-
only reason they killed him was that he wasn't in the show. They were trying to rework. They couldn't put him in all the episodes. So they threw him in the beginning and killed him.
Yeah, I mean the idea, it really kind of eats at the heart of what it is. It's like if you were like, well, we're gonna reboot The Odd Couple, but Oscar's gotten his own place. Wait, what are you doing with? What are you telling those stories? Jack Klugman would be amazing, but that's not the point. What did you think about all of this, Nate? Getting to revisit old friends, departed friends. I'm talking specifically about Foggy. I don't think that Wesley was really our friend, but
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was just really nice to see the character again, and I do agree that like it is kind of weird to not have like such a powerful and enjoyable to watch dynamic like be center to the show. But I do think it does also lend a lot of I don't know, strength to the character of Matt as like what he's going through and like what he lost. And like I do find myself like some shows I want to stay the same and I just want to see the character dynamic that I love and I just want to see that all the time. And some shows I want to see that come and go and as life does and see the characters change and evolve. And like the show is called Daredevil. It's not called Daredevil and Friends. It's not Matt Murdock at Law. The show's called Daredevil. And like that is a big part of his life as we're seeing, but also there are other parts of his life as his friends die and having to experience that and decide for himself, how am I going to carry on the memory of my friend? But I feel like the writing this season, this episode in particular, is just like exceptional. It's like peak Daredevil. Like if this was a comic book, I'd be like, this is an excellent comic book Daredevil run. And being able to tie all this themes of mercy together and like Matt saving Foggy's killer because Matt remembers in the past how Foggy impressed upon him this idea of mercy, of him forgiving his childhood bully, and like that whole experience and how that flashback like gave us information of like why he would decide to go back and like why he's trying so hard to save Bullseye. I just thought it was really good. Yeah, the chemistry between the two of them was great. It's really cool how they captured kind of the feel with the looks of the Netflix show. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I would not be upset at all to have more flashbacks or to have him be on the show. Like, I love to see him, but I am coming more around to the idea of, like, I'm not saying that killing him was the right idea, but I do think that there are at least, like, it wasn't for like no reason. It wasn't like when they just write someone off. It has become a driving force for Matt, and like that is interesting to see, especially because I also have a little bit of hurt because I loved that character too from watching the show for years, right? And so like I have a little bit of attachment too. That's like, yeah, actually, screw that guy. Leave him to die. He killed Foggy. That's what the hell. But also, like, that's not what Foggy would want, and I know that because I have seen the characters interact and stuff. It was great. It was really good.
Right. Yeah. No, the idea of splitting up Matt and Foggy, it's, it is basically like splitting up Batman and Robin, but we didn't get to call a 900 number to decide whether or not we wanted Foggy to be taken out. I know which way Eric Conner would have voted, but
which way did you vote back in the day? Did you try and kill Jason
no.
Todd?
I didn't have the 50 cent. My mom would have literally murdered me if I had called a 900 number for anything. So no,
I did vote for Andy Kaufman to not be kicked off Saturday Night Live.
But he got kicked off. So yeah. So
the Delaware vote never counts as much.
What if after Secret War they bring Foggy back, but he's played by Jon Favreau?
We have talked about that Favreau iteration, which, by the way, you can point at a lot of things in that movie. Jon Favreau's Foggy is not one of them. Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin, also not the problem.
Good, solid stuff.
But
I think that the Daredevil movies are not that bad. They're not good.
The extended Coolio cut, I will actually watch.
The longer cut is one of those rare occasions where you have something that you didn't necessarily like, and they put more into it, and you're like, oh no, this is actually better. It's a better story. And
Daredevil still doesn't let somebody die on the L train, but it is what it is. That being said, did you see that our fellow Geekscape podcast, Superhero Things You Should Know, had a screening of the extended cut of the Thomas Jane Punisher recently in Santa Monica?
I didn't know.
And there's an extended cut of Thomas Jane's Punisher, and Ben Wan and company showed it, and had Russell Andrews, who has a longer role in the movie, it's almost completely cut from the movie, he came out and interviewed him and did a screening of that. So I'm just saying that to be like, Christian Bladt, you're slacking.
Yeah. Well, look. I just have.
Where's your public screening?
I just hey, I was in Las Vegas over the weekend.
I'm gonna need you to bring Coolio on the show to talk about the extended cut of Daredevil. Thank you, sir.
I mean, I would love to ask. Let's put it that way. I will show the response to my request. But in any event, I think that also the superhero stuff you should know. They did the found version of the 1990 Captain America, which didn't actually make it better, but it was I did buy that. I forget who put that out, Vinegar Syndrome or whoever put that out. I got that, and I'm like, oh, I've really seen it now, and I'm like, oh, it's still not very good. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But let's talk about sort of where we're at with this show, and there are 3 episodes left. And, the one thing we all knew about this season heading into it is that we're going to get Jessica Jones. And, there's rumblings, there's rumors, maybe we'll get some other familiar faces, but still don't have her. And we're running out of time. And I mean, I would hope we don't just have her in the finale. But Eric, I know you wanted to point out that the way the episode starts, we actually see her and there's a QR code. Is that something you wanted to make sure our audience knew about?
Yes, you can get some free comics if you scan that code, I think. If it sends you to somewhere creepy, i.e. Jonathan London's private webpage, that's on you.
My private webpage is Geekscape, dude.
So you say. So you can't tell if I'm winking under the glasses.
The home of this podcast.
Yeah. And then
it's private because nobody listens to us.
Maybe there's an extreme edition of Hero of the Prophecy that is for adults. Maybe that's what we can find.
An entirely bottomless issue.
I saw the word free. I saw the word free and I scanned the QR code, and I'll tell you what it does. It takes you to a Marvel page, where you can get free downloads of comic books if you subscribe to Ultimate Marvel download, like the Marvel Kindle.
Marvel Unlimited?
Marvel Unlimited, right? So you get if you sign up for Marvel Unlimited, you get free comics. Or if you already belong to Marvel Unlimited, you get free digital comics. They're not mailing you out comics. I'm like, oh, they'll mail me X-Men 137. It'd be great. No, it's digital downloads if you're a subscriber already. So if you're not interested in that, don't bother getting you.
I am, and I will.
In the QR code.
Jonathan, I wasn't fast enough. Hold up the book again. I tried to put
no, it was just a copy of Fear the Prophecy.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
We have issue number 2
well, issue 2 is already out there. All right.
Issue 2 it should be in a lot of people's hands. This is issue 1. It's the one that I could reach.
Yeah.
But issue 2, guys, I have to go.
Issue 2 is written on a cocktail napkin.
I have about 100 of these things.
Oh no!
Holy crap!
Some of them have T-shirts in them. Some of them have. I have to mail about 100 of these.
Let me just come pick up my copy, Jonathan. If you just ask, you don't have to make me feel guilty.
If you're at Comic-Con Revolution, I definitely went to WonderCon with like some of the backers like stuff, and whenever I ran into somebody at WonderCon, I was like, "Oh, just so happen to have your book." If you're going to Comic-Con Revolution, I will fulfill your orders there too.
Are we gonna have a table there? We don't usually. No. Yeah, that's
no,
because
we don't have a table.
And you know why we don't have a table? It's because Matt Kelly won't be there to sit at it.
Yeah, and Christian and I are hosting every panel.
Literally, are you gonna have a back alley at least, like somewhere on the side, like outside of like El Pollo?
What kind of convention do you think this is? No,
if it's a warehouse in Ontario, it might be safer to be on the outside of it at this point.
But yes, Comic-Con
definitely don't want to be inside of it.
And it's kind of evolving, but it's the weekend of May 16th and 17th in beautiful Ontario, California. Jonathan and I had a couple of panel ideas, and they liked them. And then before too long, they were like, "Well, they loved them." But then they were like, "Hey, how about these 100 other panels?" And I'm exaggerating, but it's like 12. It's like 12.
I learned about Comic-Con Revolution because you'd gone out there and you'd interviewed Chris Claremont. I'm like, oh man, I'd never heard. I mean, I'd heard of a little bit of this con, but it just felt like maybe, no offense, Long Beach Comic-Con or something that was a little too small to like really go and make a weekend of it. And then I did a little research and I started seeing the names that they were getting. And 2 years ago, I connected with Drew Selden, who runs it. And I went out there and I had a blast and did some interviews for a Geekscape episode that I stitched together, sat with you and Jeff and had a great combo conversation, put that in the episode. And I did it again last year. And this year I was like, you know what? I know Drew well enough. Let me just bug him about hosting some panels, because we know a couple people like that we've done panels with before. There's some friends of ours who are now there as guests. And they were like, we love your ideas. Here are 8 more. Could
really
you also do the Flash reunion, the Arrow reunion, the BSG reunion,
Battlestar Galactica, and they just added
the Dan Jurgens conversation about Death of Superman. Could you do it? Like,
well, there's so many that Jonathan was like, great, I'm going to do these ones. And it's like, nope, you're already doing one. So there was a conflict. So we'll have the full list out there very soon.
We're doing 5, or I think at one point I'm doing 4 or 5 in a day.
Yeah, but that's all right.
I've done that before. But
you're an old pro,
that's what Geekscape is about, and that stuff will be recorded and put out on the Geekscape feed. And Christian, I would love to think that you would put yours out on your feed as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my own Zoom recorder this time, though. That's all.
And we should also still have a conversation with Jeff about comics.
My buddy Jeff Winstead loves to go to Comic-Con Revolution because more than anybody I know, he loves the dollar comic box. And if you go on the second day, a lot of times you can get those for 50 cents. And so he's like, oh, I spent $20 and I got 40 books. And he's always very excited. Yeah.
But he shows them to me and he's so proud. And he gleans over them like they're his children. I'm like, dude, I just love the energy.
And that's why I like that con, though, because it's really about comic books. And then, yes, obviously some of the panels are TV as well, but is a great representation of I would like to flip through some long boxes of comic books and maybe even buy some Daredevil stories like the ones that this series is based on. And
guys, real quick,
yeah.
FanX is coming to Anaheim in June too.
Oh my gosh.
FanX is coming to Anaheim, and I was like, "Oh, great! Congrats on announcing Fan." I was talking to somebody at FanX. I was like, "Congrats on announcing Anaheim. That'll be fun for 2027." He was like, "No, it's this June." And I'm like, "What the
boy.
fuck? What the hell? We have WonderCon straight into Comic-Con Revolution, straight into FanX, straight into San Diego Comic-Con."
And then we're going to get Spider-Man Brand New
California.
Day right after San Diego Comic-Con.
It's right before it, but just turn all of Southern California into a giant comic book convention.
Okay. That's great. That's been my plan all along.
It's inevitable.
I
love it.
Constant.
It's a canon event. The
but,
Watcher's going to be watching it.
The Watcher's going to have to call in some backups, just sort of like how you can't do every panel. Owatu's like, I need somebody else. I can't.
We're going to be looking over the Hollywood sign, and Owatu's just standing there.
You imagine Owatu does a Q&A, but he doesn't answer any questions because he doesn't speak.
He just watches.
I see him hiking in Griffith Park. Just Owatu. Just
very tight shorts.
So
he's throwing a frisbee on the beach.
As we look ahead towards these final 3 episodes, before we wrap up here, I want to get any thoughts, hopes, expectations. I'm going to start with you, Nate, and you can expand upon your thoughts beyond this. But how soon do you think it'll be before we finally get to see Jessica Jones on this darn show?
Or Kill BB?
I think maybe even next episode. Yeah. I definitely think like this was like definitely the deep breath after the kind of gut punch that was episode 4. So I think we will get some more stuff happening next episode. It definitely feels like they're at the point of where, things are going to escalate because of this. Fisk is going to, squeeze even tighter. And at some point we're going to have to see more of these other vigilantes that are involved in this. And it would seem like a good time to be like, hey, I need some help. I need some extra hands. So I think maybe that, I don't know. I'm really like cautiously optimistic about the show because the first season had like it had signs of greatness, but like obviously the hodgepodgeness kind of like was still there and kind of weighing it down a little bit. And this season so far, like it definitely started a little bit slow, but it feels like very intentional, and like the story, it feels very satisfying with the characters. The action scenes have been really good, so I don't want to like count my chickens before they hatch, but I feel kind of good kind of just being along for the ride and trusting that, especially with them already starting to work on the next season, that there's going to be a nice solid ending that will propel us into whatever they have planned, whatever's going to happen more with the New York stuff, with Punisher, with Spider-Man. Like it's just kind of like a exciting time for Marvel stuff that when like it hasn't really, it's been kind of wishy-washy here and there for the last couple of years. So like this being really good, and then hopefully it leads right into the Punisher thing being really good and being like true to the Punisher character. And then, everything I've seen of the new Spider-Man movie looks pretty good. So it's just, I don't want to set the hype train too high, but I'm quietly just like very excited about the way that this show is going.
We've learned to temper our expectations, and sometimes it's rewarded, and look, sometimes it's not. Jonathan, the idea of getting a helping hand makes me wonder if perhaps Matt might get a helping fist from friend of the network, Finn Jones. Do you think we might see him this season?
I love Finn. Finn came on Geekscape and said he would love to play Danny Rand again, and I was supportive of it. He and if you go listen to the interview, he was really candid about the fact that he came on so late in that process that there was not a lot of course correction. And I think season 2 was actually better, and so I'm a supporter of Finn Jones, and I'm also a supporter of Finn Jones' idea that Colleen Wing should inherit the Iron Fist. That was his idea, and I think it'd be cool. That being said, I thought you were going to say lend a hand in segueing the fact that I think by the end of this season, not only do we see Jessica Jones, we should see Punisher leading into not only his mini movie, but into, I guess, what we're going to see in Spider-Man. And we also know from this trailer of Spider-Man that we get the hand in that film as well. I would expect that we see the hand in at least a hint or something, or at least a cliffhanger at the end of this season of Daredevil Born Again. Maybe, again, I'm going to be like, is this who Matt Lillard's character is actually working for? Are we going to see the return of the hand? And are they going to use their hand version of the Lazarus Pit to resurrect Foggy Nelson, and is he going to come back as Jon Favreau? Just my predictions.
I love it. I love all of it. Mr. Brody, and yes, by the way, the last time we saw the Iron Fist, it was in possession of Colleen Wing, and I agree that the second season was so much better. I was really looking forward to a third season of Iron Fist, and I know that there are many people who feel differently. But Brody, what do you think we might get over these next 3 weeks, sir?
I think Jessica Jones has to come in next episode. I think to bring her in 7 to start planning the grand finale fight, there's not enough time there. And I think if you're going to promote her, and she's doing Instagram videos showing her leather jacket, and it's got to be more than an episode and a half. It's got to be coming in next episode. I think what happens is Fisk goes crazy, doubles the crackdowns, puts double the pressure on the city, looking for vigilantes. Maybe another vigilante, an unknown vigilante that we're not familiar with, gets killed, and then Jessica steps up, or she answers the call, because clearly Matt's going to need help. He knows Kingpin's on the warpath. So whether we see Colleen Wing, or it's already been established that the Defenders are coming back in season 3, so it wouldn't surprise me if they show up in a fight in the finale. But I think Jessica absolutely has to come back, because Fisk is going to lose it, and I think that's the impetus to have her show up.
I also want to make sure.
Do we see Frank in that?
No, I don't think so, because I think he's off the same way we talked about people who are off filming other things. I think he's filming Spider-Man. I think he was filming his own show. I think Bullseye is going to play the role of Punisher, the guy who kills the bad guys. And I don't think it would be redundant to have them both. Plus, I think they'd want to kill each other. So I don't think he'll be in it, right?
That'd be a great scene.
It would be, yeah. I think the one shot is going to show where he was during this time and why he wasn't there, whether he was in California or Florida. He was somewhere else doing something for his one shot, and it'll explain why he wasn't here. So I don't think
wasn't in Florida. Sorry, Thomas Jane.
Yeah, I'd love to see Hawkeye show up as Ronin, or some crazy unexpected thing, or Hulk. Yeah, anybody who's in New York normally would be great. But I think Hulk against Fisk would be a little bit lopsided. Although Fisk is strong, I think as far as
guys, I want to see Jennifer Walters again.
By the way, and I just want to point out who I really want to make sure we're talking about the Netflix era. Misty Knight is a character that we haven't mentioned, who I do hope we get to see as well. I want everybody to come back. I'm very
guys. We saw the scar on the side of Kingpin's head every scene. Where the fuck does that go?
That's a great question, because I thought that that actress was great, and I find the character to be interesting. I know that,
and that scar is in every scene. That's why it's so noticeable during the flashbacks of this episode that he no longer has the scar. And I'm like, oh yeah, with the scar. Oh fucking Echo. Where the fuck is Echo?
Yeah. Well, I want to see all of it. And Eric Conner, you get the last word. Keep it brief, Delaware boy.
I'll do my best. Agreed with pretty much all you guys are saying. Next episode, we'll get Jessica. Jessica, she'll come back maybe right at the end, because a lot of these seasons, the second to last episode is the one that really hits. I think sometimes episode 8 is a little bit more resolution and more sort of dust falling back to the earth. But I think you absolutely need to bring her back next episode. My guess, the end of next episode. I really love this year being kind of like this baton being handed from one part of New York to another. I do want more Staten Island. I've been saying this for a long time. Never when I'm actually in New York, but when I'm watching on TV. Yeah. And since What We Do in the Shadows went off the air, Staten Island's been woefully underrepresented. So it's time to get back over there. But yes, the baton hands off to the Punisher at the end of this. He'll pop in at the end of episode 8. Brody, totally right. Yeah. You don't need Punisher and Bullseye. That's too much BDE, as Jonathan calls it. So I think they're setting up Punisher with this, and then Punisher setting up Spider-Man. It is so exciting. This spring into summer, New York Street Heroes.
Yeah. Is that Bullseye Daniel energy?
It's whatever you want it to be.
The different set of IP, different person having it, but let's not forget Spider-Man Noir is going to be dropped in the middle of all of this. So
and Vision Quest
and Vision Quest.
We get Vision before we get the Doom.
Right.
Doomsday.
Yes, that's true. So we have all of these things. Looking forward to it, and can't wait to be back at the same time next week to talk about episode 6. But until then, Nate, where can people find more of you?
On the internet,
Yeah.
Dog Like Nate, at all the places where you find people.
Yes,
there.
exactly. You can find Nate there. And Brody, if maybe Staten Island doesn't do it for me, but I want some Brooklyn content. Where would I go to get that?
You take the Verrazano Bridge away from Staten Island and you land in Brooklyn, where you can listen to the Brooklyn Boys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And find me on social media at David Brody with a Y. And for a visual audience, there it is on the screen. There it is.
And Eric, if I want to discuss the finer points of the Delaware Memorial Bridge, is there anyone that I know who might have some opinions on that?
Hashtag Del Mem Strong. Yes, that is me. I'm actually going to be on another crevice of the Geekscape Enterprise empire, the happiest empire out there. Tomorrow, I will be talking about The Boys at 6:30 Pacific time, whatever that is on the East Coast.
Okay, so 9:30. Great, thank you.
It's
And
Saturday.
Jonathan, there's so many things going on here at the network, but however many you want to make sure people are aware of, please let us know.
I host the flagship Geekscape podcast. Been doing it since 2006.
1946.
Yeah, it's like old as hell, but I love doing it. I do it as often as I can, so usually a couple times a month, and then we'll be at San Diego Comic-Con at the Geekscape booth. Those are really the places to find me. Just look for me on the internet, Geekscape or Jonathan London. I built my own prison, and you guys are all in the fucking prison with me.
And,
It's like you guys are stuck in here with me.
I'm the one with all the keys right now, and
Yeah.
I'm going to lock everybody back up for the night, but we'll see them all again next week. And you can find me on social media, Christian Bladt at Christian DMZ. My personal podcast, The Blattcast, BLADTCAST. And right here, we've got this show. We've got the Geekscape Book Club, and I am a part of the revolving door of hosts that do Geekscape news literally every day. And Matt Kelly and I will be going over the announcement of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, because now we know we had the nominees, now we have the inductees, and he and I have some wildly different opinions, and we'll be able to share those with people. But that is all the time for now. As the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!